How did the witness get the bust from the cafeteria back to his room?
Meine Idee wäre der Affe. Vielleicht war der stark genug. Ich meine, eigentlich hätte ich jetzt gesagt, der Affe ist nicht stark genug, um so eine riesengroße Büste zu tragen, aber was Besseres fällt mir jetzt auch nicht ein.
A monkey?
Everyone knows Money. He loves shiny objects of any size.
Oh, like when you stole the ventriloquist's ring.
So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own and then brought it back home.
Home?
Money lives in aRdW's room.
aRdW's room?
But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record.
My, those are some very nice cards he's holding.
Yes, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny. aRdW. Money is a strong monkey, right? It'll be easy for him to bring the bust back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I would be on the market for a new roommate.
Order, I said order, Miss Von Karma. Where is the bust in question at this moment?
I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak.
This is a rather strange turn of events. Let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then?
Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon. Wait. Then you mean this bust was the murder weapon? Purely by accident? It is possible. Maybe aRdW saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was entirely possible that aRdW was the murderer.
Moron! Mr. Wright's argument was so circular, I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that.
Ah, don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Schönes Wort.
Fraud?
You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright. And what is that? Evidence? You should know. No, you forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. Ich bleibe immer noch dabei. Der hat der Büste einen Mantel umgehängt. Oder vielleicht auch einfach seine Bettdecke oder sowas. There is no reason to doubt the clown's testimony.
That is true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright?
Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Barry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who was the murderer the clown saw? Naja, da würde ich jetzt nochmal die hier präsentieren. He saw Max's I asked who was the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question. Au contraire, mon frère. Was? Ich kann kein Französisch, was heißt das? Kann das mal jemand nachschlagen. Gut, au contraire heißt wahrscheinlich im Gegenteil. Aber mon, wie auch immer man das ausspricht, keine Ahnung. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette. But he did not actually see the man himself.
It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible?
Im Gegenteil, mein Bruder? Hat Phoenix sie gerade als Bruder bezeichnet, statt Schwester oder so wenigstens? It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust. What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak.
There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to the bust, you idiot.
It would be easy to hang one off of the cards in the bust's hands.
Idiot, who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust. Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is of the utmost importance to this case, don't you agree?
Oh, he caught me. Stimmt, Frere Jacques. Vielleicht heißt es ja einfach so, vielleicht benutzt man es ja für beides. Das ist irgendwie so ein Wort wie... Ja. Mir fällt mir keins ein. Nur eins, das man für zwei Geschlechter benutzen kann.
So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust?
Naja, ich meine, das muss... Ich bleibe dabei, dass es aRdW selber gewesen sein muss. I wonder, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Didn't the defendant wear his cloak the entire time he was at practice? So then how did this person get a hold of the cloak?
Well...
Furthermore, how would this person have gotten the cloak onto the bust, I wonder? Moment mal. Ich glaube, ich hab's. Der Ringmeister hatte den Mantel doch an. Das hatten wir doch letztes Mal oder vorletztes Mal, ich weiß gar nicht mehr, festgestellt. Der Ringmeister hat ja diesen Brief gefunden, von wegen an den Mörder, wir treffen uns um 10 draußen bei der Unterkunft. Und dann hat der Ringmeister sich halt den Mantel und den Hut von Max angezogen, weil er wahrscheinlich Schiss hatte und sich lieber als jemand anders verkleiden wollte, um halt mal zu gucken, was da los ist. Und meine Vermutung ist, er hat dann die Kiste gesehen, hat sich runtergebeugt, dann kam die Büste von oben, ist ihm volle Kanne auf den Kopf geballert und beim Wiederhochziehen hat die Büste sich in dem Mantel verfangen, den er hatte, weil es ist ja kein Mantel zum Arme reinstecken, sondern so ein Umhang eher. Also in einem Umhang hat die Büste sich beim Wiederhochziehen verfangen und hat den mit hochgezogen. Wetten, so war's? Oh, ich bin Genie. Because this person was not spotted at the scene. Und das würde dann auch erklären, warum aRdW den Mantel, warum eben nicht aRdW den Mantel, also warum das würde halt alles hier erklären. Weil es stimmt ja, sie hatte recht, aRdW kann den Mantel ja gar nicht gehabt haben, den Umhang sollte ich sagen. Den Umhang hatte Max ja bis zum Ende der Probe und hat ihn dann beim Ringmeister ausgezogen. Und der Ringmeister hat ihn dann ja angezogen, als er rausgegangen ist. When she's so nice about telling me I'm wrong, it hurts even more. Wow. The famous von Karma carrot and whip approach.
So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust?
Dann lautet die Antwort, die jetzt wahrscheinlich erstmal für alle total verrückt klingen wird.
Fool, him? You are saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry?
That is what I'm saying.
The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust?
Placed the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it.
Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright?
Explain yourself. Nick, do you really have a handle on all of this? Or are you just steering blindly? No, I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright, so you want to know what really happened that night. Let's step back in time. aRdW used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust and dangled the bust out of his bedroom window directly above the wooden box. Ich muss mal die Musik wieder leiser machen. Diese Zirkusmusik ist immer so schweinelaut. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. Da sieht man jetzt auch in dem Bild. Da hinten rechts ist halt der Umhang und der Hut, den Max ausgezogen hat, als er da reingekommen ist. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house. Das erklärt dann, wie wir auch schon bereits früher vermutet hatten, warum Ben und Trilo den vermeintlichen Max gesehen haben. By none other than a ventriloquist and his puppet Ben and Trilo. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that is when aRdW took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bust hit the victim, schöne Animation.
You wait just a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It cannot be.
It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss von Karma, but I hope you do remember that this is currently being broadcast worldwide. Ich meine, das hat sie uns doch letztes Mal so unter die Nase gerieben. Also muss ich sie jetzt auch unter die Nase reiben. This circus isn't over yet.
What?
The impact of the bust on the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, aRdW naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Moe saw the bust being raised with the cloak dangling on it. Primarily because in his wheelchair he couldn't see out of his window, so he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is how somebody saw Max flying away. That is how the magical murderer disappearing into the sky came to be. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the one person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. aRdW, it could only have been you. Und wie unglaublich eingeschüchtert aussieht. aRdW's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So? What now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true?
Evidence?
In this court, only two things matter, the power of evidence and the power of my whip.
Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright.
Ich weiß nicht, ob ich da noch viel aufhalten kann.
The prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence?
Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method. But there is still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Unusual? A contradiction, actually. Okay then, use that and get out of this jam.
That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claims. Or hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case.
Was? Wie? Ich jetzt? Hä? Keine Ahnung. Was wollt ihr denn jetzt? Der Hut? Vielleicht. Weil ich glaube, der Widerspruch, den wir letztes Mal bei Moe hatten, war, dass der Hut am Tatort lag und Moe trotzdem absolut darauf geschworen hat, dass er den Hut hat nach oben fliegen sehen. Und das würde sich eben nur dann erklären lassen, wenn es so geschehen ist, wie wir es gerade beschrieben haben, weil dann ist der tatsächliche Hut ja im Moment des Mordes vom Kopf des Ringmeisters runtergefallen und da liegen geblieben, während die Büste, die ja auch einen Hut hat, wieder hochgeflogen ist. Aha. The problem is Max's three symbols, you know, the silk hat, the cloak and the white roses.
Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings.
Yesterday there were two contradictions in Moe's testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all of these contradictions.
You fool, do you ever shut up?
Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Mo said yesterday. He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Mo saw was actually the bust's.
Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see the silk hat. Well, sort of.
Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction?
The other contradiction?
Remember what that ventriloquist said in court? He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night, but the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like to see you try and explain that one away. Moment. Nein, nicht da. Wo ist denn die Büste? Na, die hat ja keine. Can you do it, Nick? Of course, I can explain all of it. Aber ich spreche trotzdem lieber. What was that? Please recall the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bust. Achso, ja, weil die runtergefallen sind wahrscheinlich. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? Oder die wurden verdeckt? Na ja, klar. Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bust. Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the backside of the bust. So, Mr. Acro, was hast du jetzt noch zu sagen?
Order, order!
Haben wir gewonnen?
This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads.
Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. Oh. Ich muss schon sagen, sie sehen beide unglaublich besorgt aus. Was haben sie jetzt wieder? Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Das Motiv. Ich wette, er kommt jetzt auf das Motiv zu sprechen. Schließlich hat der Ringmeister ihn doch aufgenommen, ihn und seinen Bruder. Also wenn, dann müsste er überhaupt nur Respekt und Liebe für den Ringmeister überhaben und absolut keinen Grund, ihn umzubringen. Why is that? Motive. Ah, ich bin so gut. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there is absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now. What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Acro's motive.
It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well, however, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess.
Okay, to be continued. Dann kommt jetzt bestimmt das Finale. Ich hoffe, Patrick geht's gut. Scheint ja heute nicht dabei zu sein. 30. Dezember. 2:17 Uhr ist das jetzt schon. Na gut.
I can't believe it, Acro.
It's pretty shocking, isn't it?
It definitely is, and to think he was always the most straightforward of the group. Jeebus, am I that hated?
Wer hemmt denn da? Acro tried to pin the murder on you on purpose.
He did. but I'm nothing but a little old nobody, you know.
But you're not, which is kind of the reason why.
Hey, pal. You gonna ignore me after I went to all the trouble to bring you some evidence?
Detective Gumshoe.
Oh, forget it. I'm going home. This guy deserves to be guilty anyways.
No, Detective, I'm sorry. Look, why don't you relax a little? We've got some really tasty milk. How about a card trick, Detective?
Oh, well, if you insist.
Now, about that evidence you mentioned. What is it?
Here you go.
Huh? Das hat uns von Karma doch weggenommen. This was yesterday in Akra's room.
Yup, and I've included the forensic results. Take a look at it later.
Won't Miss Von Karma be mad that you're doing this?
That's why this is all a secret.
Huh?
Look, details are on a need-to-know basis, and we're not really allies or anything, but everything that's happened in court up until now has gone according to our plan.
I don't know, Miss Von Karma didn't seem in control of things in there just now.
You'll figure it out eventually, pal. Yesterday, our final plans were set into motion.
Final plans?
That reminds me. I've got a message from the prosecutor for you. Nothing is ever truly decided until the very end. That's it. And that's it for me too, pal. I'm out of here.
What did you mean by that? The very end part? I'm not sure. It was all pretty cryptic to me.
Oh, one more thing.
Meine Güte. Don't scare me like that.
It looks like there's a large care package from the circus for the defendant.
What? For me?
It's milk. The reception area looks like some kind of dairy. So hurry up and drink it all before it spoils.
Mein entire dairy's worth of milk for me? Scheinen sie ihn ja doch nicht so zu hassen, ha? Vielleicht wird er jetzt in Zukunft dann auch mal ein bisschen netter zu ihnen sein, wenn wir ihn da rauskriegen.
Court is now back in session. Miss Von Karma, please continue from where you left off.
I'd like to continue with Akra's testimony, starting with his relationship to the victim. I'd also like to get proof from the defense. Proof of what kind of motive Akra would have to commit this crime.
Understood. Now, Mr. Dingling.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please proceed with your testimony.
Finally, we get to the motive. Wait, Nick, are you okay? Just do me a favor and don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. About the ringmaster. When we were little, we were abandoned by our parents. That's when the ringmaster of the Berry Big Circus, Russell Berry, took us in. I became an acrobat at around 9 years old. I wanted to find a way to repay the ringmaster. That was my sole purpose in life.
You're such a thoughtful young man.
As you heard, the witness deeply respected the victim. I wonder how anyone could think that Akra would kill a man he held in such esteem.
You are absolutely right. How could anyone think that, Mr. Wright? Which is why there's no real need for a cross-examination, is there?
Actually, that is the question I'm trying to answer myself. Why would Akra kill the ringmaster? Yeah. Indeed. This might be my last chance to answer that question. Aber da war jetzt nichts drin. Oder? Was ist denn, wenn ich jetzt einfach mal sage, nee? There's no need to cross-examine this witness.
What's that?
Why was the ringmaster murdered? There's no need to delve into that bit of testimony when I know the answer already.
Mr. Wright, I'd like to ask you a question.
Go ahead, Your Honor.
I would just like to know, can you provide an explanation as to why Akra would want the ringmaster dead?
I can't provide one. Because my guess is that he did not want to murder the ringmaster. Nick? Yeah, I didn't even have to think about it. It was obvious from the start, Your Honor. The reason that Akra killed the ringmaster is something that can't be proven.
What?
That's because Akra had no reason to kill the ringmaster at all.
Wow. Your foolish attempts to fool us like foolish fools is so foolhardily foolish. Did you forget?
You made an accusation against this witness, did you not? I believe it was. This is the real killer of Russell Barry, Ringmaster.
If you want to jump to the end of things, then yes, that sounds about right.
The end of things?
aRdW. You didn't plan to kill the Ringmaster at all, did you? The Ringmaster wasn't your target that night.
What did you just say?
I'm saying that the target of the witness's murderous plot was not the Ringmaster. Because it was never his intention to kill Russell Barry to begin with.
What?
Order! Bailiff, I don't care who it is. Smack anyone who's loud in the face.
What the fuck?
Bailiff, ist mir scheißegal. Der Nächste, der Krach macht, kriegt voll was auf die Fresse von dir. Mr. Wright, what in the world are you trying to do to my cord?
Ah, Mr. Phoenix Wright, what in the world are you trying to do to his cord? Are you attempting to imply that aRdW was trying to kill someone else?
Indeed. Ich würde vermuten Regina, denn hat ihr doch den Zettel in die Tasche gesteckt.
Regina Barry?
This young girl is the Ringmaster's daughter, correct?
aRdW, you were really aiming for her that night, weren't you? Oh, jetzt guckt er aber doch etwas böser. Und keine Tiere mehr ihn herum.
You don't need to answer that. It's a mean-spirited leading question.
He could easily answer this question. If I'm wrong, all he has to say is, you're wrong. That's it.
That's it, huh, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
Enough, Mr. Wright. Allow me to...
Ah, the only thing allowed to interrupt me is death itself. And that goes for you too, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Show me evidence now. I want to know why aRdW would want to kill Regina Barry.
Yes, me too. I demand to see some proof. Present evidence that proves aRdW was out to kill this young girl.
Der Brief. aRdW, you remember this, don't you? It's a piece of paper that we found inside the Ringmaster's tailcoat.
Inside the victim's tailcoat?
aRdW wrote this note. It's ironically entitled, To the Murderer. Its purpose was to call someone to the plaza at 10 p.m.
So you're saying that he called Russell Barry with that note?
Yes, but there's just one little problem.
Problem?
aRdW did indeed place this note into someone's pocket. However, that someone was not the Ringmaster.
You mean it wasn't for the...
That's exactly what I mean. The person this note was intended for was none other than Regina Barry.
Order!
Ich hoffe, im Hintergrund ist der Bailiff, ich weiß gar nicht mehr, wie der auf Deutsch heißt, gerade dabei und haut jedem voll auf die Fresse, weil die sind ja immer noch nicht ruhig. Was war denn nochmal Bailiff? Ich habe das schon 1000-mal nachgeguckt. Das war... Gerichtsdiener. Gerichtsvollzieher. Na, jedenfalls so ein Typ, der da halt rumhängt und ihm hilft. Also, halt so eine Wache oder so, würde ich mal sagen. Der dafür Ordnung sorgt.
This little theory of yours.
It's the truth, Your Honor. It isn't a theory. Simply put, Regina didn't think the note was meant for her. Which is why, the morning of the crime, she placed it on the cafeteria bulletin board.
That's when her father... the Ringmaster saw the note?
That's correct. The Ringmaster ended up in that plaza instead of Regina. And he was killed because of that mistake, instead of Regina.
That's incredible.
Remember the testimony that aRdW gave us earlier today. Lifting the bust and looking out of the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. If I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. aRdW had no idea who it was that arrived in the plaza, because he couldn't look down out of his window to see who it actually was.
I've got it. aRdW thought it was
Regina, genau.
aRdW thought it was Regina down in the plaza.
And that is when he let the bust fly.
Hey, Nick, isn't Regina listening to all of this from the audience?
She is. Unfortunately, it's only going to get harsher from here.
I hope Regina can handle it.
She has to.
Acro wrote this note to Regina.
Foolishly foolish fool with foolishly foolish fool ideas of foolish tomfoolery. You're so foolish, you've made me sound like a foolhardy fool.
Ich wüsste echt so gerne, was sie da auf Japanisch die ganze Zeit sagt. Also ich hoffe, dass das ein bisschen weniger dumm klingt.
Very well, Mr. Phoenix Wright. If you're so sure, then tell us about this line. I have conclusive evidence of what took place.
Yes? What about that line?
Well, if the note was meant for Regina Barry, it would mean that this note is declaring that Regina Barry is a murderer.
You just don't get it, do you?
What? What did you just say?
The ringmaster knew what the note meant, which is why he went to the plaza in place of his lovely daughter.
Hold it right there, Mr. Wright. What is this incident that is alluded to in the note?
The incident 6 months ago. I know all about it. An incident occurred 6 months ago, and now I am more than ready to show this court what happened at that time.
Moron. Wait, are you sure that it relates to the present case?
It does indeed, Your Honor. Everything in this case has its start in what happened 6 months ago.
Really, Nick?
I think so.
Well, then, if that is the case, hurry up and tell us about it. What is this conclusive evidence mentioned in the note? I know I'd certainly like to know what it is.
If I can't answer that question, the judge is going to think I'm bluffing.
The conclusive evidence about the incident 6 months ago was actually